Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Emily. I'm so happy you guys are here. We are continuing with Christmas DIYs on this channel, and today's video we are going to be making signs and front door hangers from a stencil set that I got on Amazon. I will link it in the description. I am getting ready for a craft fair that is in 1 week, and this is a great option for those that do not have a Cricut machine or just don't feel like using it and want to batch out some signs or just make signs for your home. So let's get started on these projects. I'm going to be using 3/4 inch plywood as well as just random scraps that my husband had. They're either like pine or maple pieces that I'll be using as trim for the wood. And I have an actual video from like start to finish of how I make my wood signs, which I will leave in the description box if you are interested to see. But I am just going to fast forward here, and once I've sanded all of the plywood pieces down, I just take a foam roller and I'm going to be doing 2 coats of this white paint. It is just basic house paint, like the latex, house paint. I do 2 coats of that. I let it dry thoroughly, and then I'm going to get ready to use these stencils. Now, I have never used a stencil set like this before. Because I have a cutting machine, I always make my own stencils and apply it to my signs. But I really wanted to try a stencil set out because when I am prepping for an event like a craft fair and I have to batch a bunch out, I really just wanted to see if this would be faster for me and if it was going to be easier. So yes, with a cutting machine, I can make my own stencils, like reusable stencils. I just have never made a reusable stencil yet, so I need to do some research on how to do them for myself. But I really did like this stencil set. It is a thick stencil set. It's really good quality, like it's not going to tear, it's not super flimsy. So I really did like that quality. And I believe it was 8 pieces, like 8 individual stencil pieces for like $14. So it was a really good price point too. And all of these signs, I am just going to be using like red, green, and black for them because I have the white base. So I do not have the correct brush for this stenciling. I came to find out. So I'm just using regular paint brushes that I'm like dabbing up and down um, on all of these. And what I really need to get, and what I would suggest you guys getting if you don't already have one, is an actual stencil brush. So I have a stencil brush, but I use that for like waxes and stuff for other projects. So it was dirty and I didn't want to use that. But I want to do this again using an actual stencil brush. I had very minimal bleeding because I was doing light pressure and light coats. Like I think I did 2 coats of everything, but um I wasn't doing a lot of pressure and I was dabbing up and down versus painting. If you've seen my other videos where I can paint on my stencil because it's adhesive, where this is not adhesive. So if there was areas that I had any bleed through, I just touched it up with the white paint for that I used for the base, and you can't even really tell that there was any bleeding that happened. So like I said, I do recommend this stencil set. I really enjoyed it. And these are great because you can, cut your size, your wood down to however large you want it. Like I'd already cut these pieces of wood down, forgetting to pay attention to the size of my stencil. So I couldn't fit the full like candy cane or other full stencils that I really did want to. So I'm going to have to go back and make some more. But I really did like how they I was able to use bits and pieces of each stencil. And I'm staining all of the trim pieces in espresso by Minwax. I go between like espresso and honey, kind of just depends on my mood, but I really liked how the dark contrast looked with these colors. So once everything was dry, I just take my pin nailer, and I do 3 or 4 um, nails on to each side, depending on like how big the sign is. And these signs are done. I definitely, like I said, want to make some more, and I will leave the link for my other video on start to finish on how I make these wood signs. So I really hope you guys enjoy this, and you guys also hopefully will try out the stencil set yourself. For this project, we're going to be using these wood rounds from the wood pile from Hobby Lobby. They are thicker wood rounds than like the 1/4 inch. I forget how thick these are, but they're pretty sturdy. I do prefer the ones from Home Depot or Lowe's, but I really wanted to give these a shot, and um, I will say, so it comes in a pack of 3 for $12.99, and one of them was bowed pretty significantly. So I'm really only going to be able to use 2 out of the 3 wood rounds, which is why I prefer the thicker ones from Home Depot and Lowe's. But I really do like how how this turned out. So I decided to use the Merry Christmas stencil, and the where I have the painter's tape holding it in place, there's actually like the green sack stripe. I don't know if you can see that. So I really wanted to include that in this sign. So I taped off where I wanted to stain, and I did the faux stain, as you could see, with the Waverly Antique Wax. And then once that dried, I do the middle section with Linen White by Rust-Oleum, and I do 2 coats, and I make sure I paint and I stain the sides because it is a thicker plywood, so you can see the sides. So definitely stain and paint your sides. And then I did stain the entire back with the antique wax as well, so you have a finished piece. And I love how I got a crisp line. I was kind of nervous if I was going to or not, but I got it. And I just attach the stencil and I hold it in place with painter's tape because obviously with these stencils they're not adhesive, so I have to hold it in place. And again, I just do the dabbing motion up and down lightly, and I do 2 coats of everything. I um I'm trying to like move the brush as I dab it in like different directions so that I can get as best coverage like with the wording and everything as possible. The biggest tip that I can say with using these stencils is to take your time with it and not rush as you're applying the paint onto the stencils to help prevent bleeding, and to hold down like the stencil where you're applying paint. As you can see, like I have my one hand where I'm slowly, moving it along, and I'm holding pressure while I'm painting with the other hand, because the stencil will move up and down, and then you could get bleed through, or any type of bleeding, to happen. So I forgot to record this, but I did, once everything dried, I did one just, coat of the Rust-Oleum clear spray before I did the Helmsman, because I didn't want the red paint or any of the paint to smear onto, one another. So I did 2 coats of the Helmsman on the front once the Rust-Oleum clear matte dried, and then I'm doing 1 coat of um, the Helmsman, oh my goodness, sorry. 1 coat of the Helmsman on the back, and I also do the Helmsman on the sides. You want to make sure you get the sides as well. So because this was a thinner round, I made the mistake of using my normal nails that I have in my staple gun, and it went right through. So I had to go buy the 1/4 inch size nails or staples. So I am I just add twine, and then I'm gonna make this bow. So I'm gonna try to explain how I make this bow because I don't make bows very often, and this is the only way that the bows work for me. So I cut 3 strips of one color the same length, and then I do 3 strips of another color. And I don't know what this measurement is. I just like eyeballed it. Probably about like 12 inches or so. And then I fold over one ribbon and then I pinch it in the middle, and then I go to the next color. Fold it in half, pinch it, and then the next color. So you're doing like white, green all the way around. And then I take my zip tie and attach it that way so that, people could use pipe cleaner or wire or twine. I just use a zip tie because it's easier for me to hold everything in place. And then I smooth everything out, and then I have the 3 ribbon, the tails on one side, and then the 3 tails on the other. And this way, when it's nice and flat, then I'm going to attach it with the staple gun. I like to use the staple gun instead of hot glue to ensure that it's going to be a nice, good, strong hold for whoever has it. And then I had these picks from Hobby Lobby when they were like 60% off, because like everything's 60% off now. So I get them where I want them, and then I'm going to staple them as well because, like I said, I am going to be selling this. So I want to make sure that nothing is going to fall off and everything stays where it's supposed to stay. And that is it. I did add a bell in the middle, which you will see at the very end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you got inspired to make your own wood sign or front door hanger. I really liked using the stencil set, and like I said, I will make sure to have it linked in the description. It's a great option for those that don't have a Cricut machine or just really don't want to take out the Cricut machine for whatever reason. I love using my Cricut, but in times when I'm prepping for an event like this, it is great to not have to create a design, cut it out, weed it out multiple times, and put it on items. So a stencil set is a great way to knock out a bunch of things quickly, or like I said, if you don't have a cutting machine. I am still prepping for this event, so you will be seeing more videos similar to this where I'm batching things out, but I do want to share what I'm doing so that you guys maybe can get inspired to make things for yourself, or if you have an event coming up as well, then hopefully you can get inspired to make some of this stuff too for your events. So please, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, give it a thumbs up, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye guys.